smallmouth spitting these. I started seeing these fish spit bait fish up. It didn't look like anything I had ever seen them spit up before. And finally had one that spit one up that wasn't almost half digested. And that's a mad tom. And so I just changed the colors on this sculpting pattern a little bit to match it. Bob's your aunt, Robert's your uncle, and there you are.
I hear you. Hey,
so
Mark.
I don't know what you guys want to do, or do we have people in now, or?
Yeah, we still have some people coming in here, so give it a minute here.
Well, I can talk about fishing all day, so.
Oh, you can't.
I know.
I challenge you.
Yeah. I'll get stuff being thrown at me out of the living room here before too long. So.
Well, it's after 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock.
Yeah, we got a few people in here.
All right, Terry.
Sweet. So, yeah, I guess we'll kick this thing off then. So I won't do the countdown. Sorry, I don't want to edit it later. But anyway, we have from Ozarks Smallmouth Alliance and the Ozarks Smallmouth Fly Fishing Company, Mr. Ryan Walker. He's he's one heck of a fly tyer, and he's just plain old very entertaining. So I hope y'all enjoy the night, and hopefully he'll take some questions from us. So go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, anything you want to know. I don't know. Do you want me to start tying? You want me to tell me a little bit about myself?
Yeah, go ahead and tell a little bit about yourself first.
Yeah, well, and first off, Terry, thanks for having me, and I appreciate it. I love doing these things. They're a ton of fun. My existence in fishing is around education, and you know that. I mean, we've talked about that before. And Ozarks Smallmouth Alliance is my passion project. The smallmouth here are one of our only truly native game fish that just don't get the recognition they deserve, I don't think, and that's why I started this group here. But I guide for them full time now, and I live 25-30 minutes southwest of Springfield, Missouri, so I'm in a very target rich environment. I've got within a 2-hour circle of me where I guide, I've probably got 20 streams that are considered good smallmouth streams, and out of that 20, 10 of them are considered Missouri trophy smallmouth streams. So I won't run through any of the names, but if you want to know what they are, you can sure ask me. But yeah, and I guide for them full time, tie flies commercially, and spend a lot of time creating mischief and aggravating Cindy, and she's good enough to put up with it. So and I was telling you guys about this fly. So the Mad Tom here in Missouri, and I think you guys have them in Illinois. I can't see that you wouldn't. You have your stream structures fairly similar to ours, I believe. Karst topography, rocky bottom, or are you more dirt, sand?
It depends. I mean, the smallmouth certainly love the rocky, the rocky bottom streams. So
yeah, it depends on the river.
Yeah. So and I think it's that way here too. The farther east from me you go, you start getting into a little more mixed topography, so sand, dirt, smaller rock. But everything around me is big chunk rock and gravel and boulder size stuff. So we have these little critters that live down in there called Mad Toms, and they're in the catfish family. And our smallmouth love them. So we fish a lot of sculpin patterns here because we've got 3 different species of sculpins that are pretty predominant in most of the rivers that we fish. And the Mad Tom lives in the same places that the sculpin does, down in the rocks, and kind of that creepy crawly critter thing that'll just dart in and out of rocks. And that's kind of where I developed this pattern. Was something I needed, something that would wiggle and articulate and be jointed. So and I said in the materials, I use these, and I don't know how well you can see this. I use these are from Spawn Fly Fish, and this is a 15 millimeter 90-degree jig shank. And if you don't have those, if you're tying along, if you don't have those, a 15 millimeter or 20 millimeter straight fish spine from Flyman will work just fine. But I liked this pattern. I liked that jig up bend because the Sculpting helmet that we put on it, this little dude, I don't know how well you can see that. I can hold the package up. You can see it better. So these Sculpting helmets, and everybody's probably familiar with them. They're fairly heavy. And so what I wanted was kind of this motion off the bottom. And that's how I ended up getting that, was with this jig hook. But anyway, we'll start. So
Can I ask a question? Could whoever's
Absolutely.
hosting the meeting change the setup so we can just see Ryan and not everyone else, and make it larger? Is that possible?
I think you can do that in your view.
Yeah, you do it in your own view.
In my own view. Let's see.
Yeah, down in the bottom right-hand corner, you should see a little box with a plus or a minus. But you know what? Actually, I think Zoom will take control for who's ever speaking, too.
Yeah, it goes back and forth. And Alan, I don't know, for me, the view's up at the top right.
Oh, mine. That's probably actually where mine is.
Okay, I got it set. Thank you.
Yeah. Now somebody should be able to make me presenter, give me presenter view or something on here too. I would think, to where nobody else comes in.
Do you mean by muting other people, or?
No, I think honestly, if while I'm tying and talking, I should be the main one on the screen.
Okay.
Are you seeing me now only?
Yeah, no, you will be when Bart talks. He shows up, and yeah. So as long as you're talking and no one else is talking, you'll be the primary person on the screen.
Okay. Yeah, just interrupt whenever we've got questions. So, and I'll stop tying, stop what I'm doing. So, all right, here we go. So this is the Ozarks Mad Tom, and I've got this. I've started the hook. I've got the thread on the hook already, and this is a Gamakatsu B10S. Couple of different hooks you can use for this. You can use a longer shank streamer hook, like a down eye streamer hook if you want. But I like the B10S. It's super sharp. It's got a good gape and real small barb. So if you do barb your flies, it's fairly easy to get rid of. And so there's a couple of different ways you can start this fly. I'm going to start it the way I normally do. And I'm going to take my underbody material, which is this olive Estaz. This is the medium size Estaz. The rear of this hook is super easy. It's two parts. It's this Estaz and a piece of Zonker. So I'm going to bind that in and take it up to about 2 eye widths behind the eye. And then we're going to palmer that Estaz forward. And I don't worry about getting it really close and tight and neat looking curls. This thing's going to be on the bottom, and I don't know how important this is anyway, because I don't know if the fish really see it. So then we're going to get rid of our Estaz. We're going to bind it down, and I'll probably put a real quick half hitch in there just to hold it. Now you can see, I don't know how well you can see it, but I've got probably 2 eye widths of bare hook between the eye and where my Estaz stops. What I'm going to do now is, the way this rabbit strip, and this is a Magnum Zonker. It's mouse brown. I use natural. I use Sculpting Olive. I've used this in a crawfish orange, chartreuse, any color you want, really. This one more mimics the natural color, and it's a Magnum size strip, so it's a little bit wider. Change my view so I can see me. There we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to skin prick this with the hook. Can everybody see me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to leave.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
great. I'm going to leave probably 1 inch of that to where it's going to hang off the back. And I'm just pricking it, pulling the hook out of the vise, turning it over, putting my hook back in the vise. And then I'm going to bind this down in the front, and we are done with the back half of this fly. Get rid of that excess. And I mean, this part of the fly doesn't have to be beautiful. Finish up with a little whip. Get rid of that, and I will go ahead. I don't know if you guys use what you use for head cement. I don't have a label on this anymore, but this is Solary's Bone Dry, and it's a UV head cement. Literally dries in 10 seconds once you hit it with a UV light, and it's hard as a rock. It's the best stuff. It's expensive, but you don't need much of it because you're just using it as head cement. And man, I'm telling you, it just cures right up. Literally that long, like 10 seconds, and it's dry. So that is the back of our fly. There's the underside, top side. And I don't know if you guys at home can see this or not, but I always, and this may just be me being fussy, but I trim the end of that tail into a triangle. I think it actually helps that tail move a little bit more. That could all just be psychological. Knowing me, it probably is. So then we're going to take that jig shank, 15 millimeter jig shank, or if you're using a straight shank, this is where you're going to attach the jig shank. It's very important to make sure that the hook, this fly rides hook point up. It's important to make sure that when you put this jig shank on there, hang on, pardon me, I got to open it up a little bit, that you put it with hook point up and the eye of the jig shank up as well. You get the fly done and you'll feel really stupid because then the fly is going to ride hook point down. And then there we've got that. Put our shank back in our vise. I'm going to clip this tail back out of the way so it's out of my way. And so I can make sure and stick myself 72 times with that hook. And then I don't know if you've tied with shanks before, your first wraps are always just to close that gap on the connection point. And I build this thread up pretty good here because I'm gonna hide this connection point with a shroud of material. I'm probably gonna use Senyos for this one, just to kind of hide that connection point. And I'll probably take some olive Senyos laser dub. Sorry for the glare. Hopefully everybody can see that. If you're not familiar with Senyos, can everybody see me or is everybody seeing someone else?
All good.
Yeah, no, we see you. As long as you're talking,
Yeah.
we see you.
All right, great.
It is a little bit of a narrow screen, but I don't know if there's any way that I can widen that. But
I think it's, well,
I don't want to mess things up, you know.
see, if I go this way, I don't have any depth.
Yeah.
Are you on your phone?
I'm on my iPad.
Oh, iPad. Yeah, that's probably why.
Yeah. So I'll try to keep my hands in this narrow field of view. I'm sorry about that. But anyway, if you're not familiar with Senyos, it's amazing stuff. It's a trilobal fabric. I don't know exactly what it's made of, but Mark Senyo is a genius and a mastermind, and this guy's a great fisherman and a great fly tyer. But one of the things with Senyos that you have to do is align the fibers. And the way that I do that, and the way that anybody does it, is you pull them apart, twist them like this to line them up, pull them apart again, twist them again. And then you just kind of get the length that you want And what I'm going to do here, I'm using this piece right here to shroud the hook. And so I'm just laying it right over, and I'm going to fold everything back. And you can clean this, as they say in the show business, you can clean this up in post. But I'll do a little bit with it right now. Pull some of that excess fibers out. And really all that's doing is hiding that connection point. And now what we're going to do is we're going to build the body going forward. And I'm going to use a couple of different colors of Senyos. One is Sculpting Olive, and the underside of this is going to be a color called Silver Minnow Belly. But this is no different than you would stack wool or stack hair. Lining those fibers up. I'm going to lay it flat on the shank. Take 2 wraps around. So I've got a top piece. I'm going to turn my vise over. I'm going to get some Silver Minnow Belly. This is the underside. And some of these are not the same consistency, and I don't know if it's because of what they have to make the colors with, but it seems like this Silver Minnow Belly is thinner, and you got to work with the fibers more to get them lined up. And I'm just going to lay that right on top of where I put. Now this is on the underside of the shank, and I'm going to lay it right on top of, so it will be directly beneath that Sculpting Olive. One soft wrap, one more wrap around. I'm going to fold both pieces back. And then I end up with a swept back look like that. And I start brushing this out now. It's hard to do around the vise. I'll brush it out more when I pull it out of the vise. Now, there's a couple of different things you can do here. I add my rubber legs next, if I can find what I did with them. I think my kitty cat got them. Nope, they're there. So if you guys have bait shops close to you, tackle shops that sell terminal gear like spinnerbait blades and bodies and pins and stuff, or if you know anything about Jan's Netcraft, that is 24,000 legs in that bag. It's 1,024 strand pieces of jig / spinnerbait skirt material, and it was $28. So Hairline makes great products. All those guys make great products, but some of this stuff you can buy cheaper through terminal gear guys. Any rubber legs, anything like that, I don't buy from any fly shops or any fly fishing sellers. I go straight to Jan's, or I go to our local tackle shop that sells lure building stuff. All right, so we got a couple of, this is it's hard to see in this light, but this is a barred peanut butter and jelly. It's a brown with black barring and purple flake. It is my hands down favorite color to tie any of these flies with. And you do this however you want. I double it up on my thread, even amount, take it on top, break it, grab two more. That's why you buy them cheap, because they will break. Double it up, come around, let it go. And then I'm just going to fold them to either side. And these are basically attractors is all they are. I consider them, if you see the profile of a sculpin or a catfish, it's got a more prominent pectoral fin. That out of there. Rubber legs are done. So I'm going to come back in with one more piece of Senyos in olive. And this one I'm going to make fairly thin, but I'm going to make it really long. because I just want to enhance the look of that splayed out wide pectoral fin that sculpins and catfish have. You know, where a smallmouth or a largemouth crappie, their pectoral fins will lay flat against their body. You've seen sculpins and catfish, their pectoral fins will be more perpendicular to their body as opposed to parallel with it, in a resting position anyway. So I've made that really long and thin. And I'm going to lay it sideways. Bind one piece in, and I'm just going to sweep it back just like I did with my rubber legs. And this also gives you somewhere to bind, to glue your head down. And this, for now, for all intents and purposes, we are done with the thread on this fly, because the next step is going to involve super glue and a sculpting helmet. So we'll get this stuff out of the way, put a decent amount of super glue on that. Then we got to figure out how to get this sculpin head around a 90-degree bend. Usually the best way to do it is to push down and on, just like that. Blow it off to dry it. Brushing everything out again. Now's when I'll trim those legs. Make them a little bit shorter so they don't foul up. And then, so my last step on this is I come in with some kind of a bright color, chartreuse. In this case, I'm going to use red. I'm going to use red 210 UTC. And put a thread dam in front of that head. And just pretty much coat that whole 90-degree bend right there. Get a good thread dam built up. That way, if you knock your super glue loose, that head won't come off, and you can super glue it back on. I'm going to get my trusty dusty solaries. And I get solaries up into the front, into the hole in the front of that helmet as well. We hit it with our UV light. I'll tell you guys a trick that I discovered not too long ago, and I'm probably way behind the curve on this. Cindy and I were sitting out here at the table. We work together. We both work from home. We work really close together a lot. But every now and then she'll do her nails here at the table, and she uses UV nail glue, UV nail polish. Well, she's got this, and it's not on the table now. I don't know where it is. She's basically got a UV oven that she sticks her hands in, and 5 UV lights come down on it. If you're using a lot of UV, like I go through a ton of this stuff, solaries, thin, building heads up on deceivers, building heads up on flies that, require, that you don't want to maybe put a fish skull on. That it looks just like this. And I think it was what, $10 at Walmart? You can see that. It plugs into a USB, but if you have to do a lot of UV work where you need to dry the resin really quick and really, really thoroughly, that little investment from Walmart is amazing. 30 seconds, I can build the head up on a size 1/0 deceiver with Solaris thin. And as long as I'll keep it spinning, I'll just barely hit it with my flashlight just to firm it up so it doesn't run anymore. I'll put it underneath that UV oven, and in 30 seconds, it is completely dried hard. So anyway, little tip there. Just make sure your significant other isn't using it while you try to do that. Makes for interesting conversations. So from here, I'll put the eyes on this Sculpting helmet. But you can see, I hope, let me brush this guy out. Clean him up. You can see the underside, and we've got a little bit of flare there. There's the back side. And totally articulated. Easy to tie. Fishes really well. Always rides hook point up. They do get down in the rocks, so you're going to lose a few of them. But they fish really well. They ride exactly like they're supposed to, right along the bottom. Even though this Magnum strip will soak up a lot of water, if you let this rest, it still floats up and becomes buoyant. So even if this thing is in, not in heavy current, obviously, but in moderate current, or if you're fishing it in, slower pools around chunk rock, when this thing rests, it's resting like this. It's a cool fly. It's a lot of fun to fish, and we really had a great fall with this fly this past year. That's it. It's easy, nothing to it.
Are you basically swinging the fly when you throw it?
No, this fly's a skitter fly, right? So you fish this fly almost identically to how you'd fish a crawfish. So you can punch it upstream into a heavy riffle and high stick it back to you. Now, obviously, let it swing at the end, because you know how many of those extra bites you get when that fly comes up right here and the fish see it, right? They're a lot like trout in that aspect, where they'll whack something just out of reflex. But I'm fishing this fly more in the fall than any other time, although it fishes well all year. I'm fishing it when those fish are moving up into deeper pools below riffles in bigger rock. And they're looking for sculpins. They're looking for these fish and crawfish. And we're just punching it into the hole, letting it get near the bottom, and just skittering it. Just twitch, 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 twitch along the bottom, in and out of the rocks. Crawl it as much as you can. Takes a little bit of feel to get used to it at first. You're going to hang them up. You'll start understanding when the fly is, close to the bottom, and especially if it's gin clear, you can see it. But it's meant to be slithered in and out of crevices and cracks. I'll tell you the other thing, and I hate to talk about trout, but on a smaller size, in the small size on this, tied on either a B10S6 or a B10S4 with the next size smaller helmet. If you can find trout feeding over gravel, they almost can't leave that thing alone. It's a really killer fly for trout that are, up maybe up on the gravel eating scuds or sow bugs or midges or whatever. But anyway, that's trout. We don't talk about trout.
No, we don't. Thank you, Ryan. That was great.
Yeah. I'm sorry for the view. I just see my camera here, and I hope it's not that narrow. Holy moly. But it really was. Yeah, and if I turned it sideways, I don't have any way to prop my iPad up high enough for you guys to see me. So.
Right. That's fine. I thought it looked good on my end.
Okay, good. Any other questions about the fly or smallmouth in the Ozarks or anything like that?
Well, on your fly with that heavy weight, what weight fly rod are you using, or are you throwing that on a spinning rod?
No, this is on a 6 or a 7 weight.
Okay.
Yep. I threw it today on a trout stream I've got a 9'6", 7 weight TFO LK Legacy that I just got, and it handled it just fine. 6 weight handles it really well. I'll bump up to an 8 weight if I end up fishing it on a sink tip. But you want to make sure your casts are crisp, because it let's just say you notice it when it hits you in the back of the head. And when you're sitting where I'm normally sitting, which is in the middle seat of a frame raft, that happens more than you think it will. It'll ring your bell.
What are some of the rivers that you guide on?
So the Gasconade, Big Piney, the James, the Upper Illinois, couple I'm not going to mention. No, Flat Creek is one. Pomme de Terre River is another. Big and Little Sugar Creeks, which end up forming the Elk River that flows from southwest Missouri down into northeast Oklahoma. I guide on the Finley. I guide on the North Fork of the White, which is about 2 hours from me. So a bunch.
And your trips are on your raft?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I've got a 12.5-foot river rat frame raft that fishes 2 guys fishing, one in front, one in back, and me rowing very comfortably. I had the guy that I had in there today was 6'4", 6'5", about 300 pounds. He fit very well and was very comfortable in it.
Cool. I mean, I visit my family in Kansas City.
Yeah,
fairly often, and
you're 2.5 hours from a lot of the water that I fish. You could be on the Gasconade in an hour and a half. You could be on the Niangua an hour and 20 minutes, which is another river that I spend a lot of time on. If you ever heard of Bennett Springs?
Yeah. I grew up in Kansas City.
You know where the Niangua is.
I've been on some of those rivers. We floated those when I was in Boy Scouts back eons ago.
Yeah. So you know where I'm at. I guide, about a 2-hour radius from my home.
Do you also guide for trout or just smallmouth?
I do some select trout trips in the winter. I only do them on wild fish waters. I don't go to any of the tailwaters. And I got to backtrack on that again. I had to do that earlier talking to Terry. I will do beaver tailwaters, but I'm only there. Trout are incidental there for me. I'm there chasing stripers and walleye.
Okay.
So, but yeah, wild trout trips I'll do on the North Fork of the White and a couple of other streams, but not Taneycomo, not on the White, not on the North Fork in Arkansas. No, that's just too many people doing it, and it's kind of a rat race down there for me.
Yeah, I understand. I'm just curious.
Ryan, a lot of the rivers there are very clear, aren't they? They're spring-fed waters.
Yeah.
And
like I said, the further you go east from me, the more varied the stream bottoms get. You start getting into a little more tannic stained waters. The Big River is a good example of that. It almost looks like Wisconsin water, or northern Michigan water, like where Schultz fishes. Very, very tannic stained, very dark stained. The Merrimack on the lower end of it is also fairly dark water and very varied bottom. Smallmouth generally in Missouri don't live north of the Missouri River because everything up there is mud bottom, sand bottom. There's not many karst streams up there. They're mostly, soft bottom streams. So But everything we fish over here is, we were watching fish in 10 feet of water today, and it was a little cloudy, comparatively speaking to a summer day.
That's got to be a lot of fun fishing in.
No, we get so many visual strikes. It's pretty amazing. Yeah, it's especially the way we fish these. I don't fish a ton of weighted flies. Most of the flies that I fish are swim flies. So drunken disorderly, double deceivers, bulkheads, craft fur minnows, stuff like that. Early and late in the years, I'll go to a heavier fly to get it down toward the bottom where they're looking. But we get a lot of really visual strikes because our water is so clear. We've got a really good topwater bite 2 or 3 months out of the year. And then, even going into the dog days of summer, if you can be out there early enough or stay late enough, you can get back into the topwater bite. Mostly poppers and sliders. There's a couple of creeks that the wiggly works really well on, but I can count on one hand the number of fish I've caught on that fly. And I know the guys in Indiana, Pennsylvania, and maybe even you guys in Illinois wear them out on that Mr. Wiggles. But we don't do very well on them.
I like the bugle bug.
That's one we do very well.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one. Dahlberg divers, sliders, double barrel poppers, howitzers are a good one. Big Gartside gurglers, believe it or not, are good ones. Hoppers, particularly a fly called Amy's Ant, which is a Western pattern that I think they actually tied to mimic, the salmon fly hatch out there. We'll tie those in a size 4, and it's a foam body with other buggy materials on it. That's a good one. We get a really good hopper bite, and big Charlie boys. If you know the Charlie boy hopper, we'll tie that a lot bigger than Charlie Craven ever tied. But that's a really good one here. We didn't get the Brood X cicada hatch this year. It was east of us. I don't know if you guys got it in Illinois or not. I know they did in Indiana. I know they did in Kentucky. But we didn't get it this year. But we always have a cicada hatch every year, and it's usually pretty strong. So when those guys are out early and late, black poppers with a gray belly and black and gray marabou with no legs, I mean, it's as stupid as simple popper you'll ever tie, are pretty fabulous at times.
That's for me.
Yeah. Me and you both, Terry.
So I got to say that I really like your passion for trying to get the word out about, protecting our smallmouth and stuff. And I think, was it last year you were going with the it's a gift thing? You were really pushing that.
Yeah, I push that on every video I do. It's the way I feel. I don't know the morphology of your guys' smallmouth, but a 15-inch smallmouth in these waters here is between 6 and 8 years old. 18-inch fish can be 10 plus, 12 plus years old. They just don't grow on trees. And we have very, very liberal creel limits on most of the streams. We have a dozen or so smallmouth trophy waters, but they're short. They're a mile, 2-3 miles long on most of them. And you still are allowed to keep one fish over 18 inches, which anyway, my personal philosophy is that every time you let a 15 plus inch fish go, you're giving that fish to someone else. I mean, it's a gift. You are passing that thing forward because it's back there, and it could live it's going to live at least another 6 years to get to 18 or 20 inches long. So yeah, they're a gift to me.
Yep, sure are. And what about your are you guys having your Bronze Fest this year? Is there any plans for that?
Yep, we are. Dates will be announced this week. and I'd love to have you guys there. I really would.
Yeah, you make that like a whole weekend, don't you?
It's a whole weekend, but we're actually going to do the main event on a Saturday, which is all the seminars, all the on-stream stuff, fly tying demonstrations, lure building stuff. We'll have conservation people there, water people there to talk about water. It's going to be this one this year is going to be solely focused on education, whether that's environmental education or fishing education, right? But our second day, we're going to do a 3-fish catch, photograph, release, smallmouth only, fly only tournament within a radius of where we're going to have the event. So it's going to be short. It's going to be, you better have the best fly on you can, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Picture them wet. That's my catchphrase this year.
Yeah. Yep.
I like to get that picture. It's a good picture when you got water dropping off, in the picture.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool picture.
Yeah. We make it a rule that the first picture we get is the picture we get.
Right.
And they're either back in the net or they're gone. One of the two.
Great rule.
Yeah. Yeah. I forget the science behind it, but I think every 10 seconds to them out of the water is a minute to us without breathing. It's something like that. But especially this time of year, it's much harder for them to absorb cold air through wet gills than it is in the summer. But yeah, we probably shouldn't be. I see people laying them on the ground all the time, and most of that's just education.
Right.
Yeah, just don't do that. They're going to get their comeuppance through the keyboard warriors on Facebook. So you just kind of got to say, hey, maybe next time get a picture in the net and just leave it in the water and let it go. So
right. Yeah, education is a big thing to push because there's just so many people since COVID that are out. Like I called Jackson the other day and was asking about getting a new seat because my seat, I've been sitting on it for 10 years. And my butt got sore last year.
Yeah.
So, and I said, well, heck, I told the guy, I said, heck, maybe I should just order a new kayak. And I laughed. And he said, well, good luck with that. We're so backed up, you wouldn't see it till November.
He's not lying. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's half demand and half supply chain issues.
But the thing is, all those people have to be educated that are out,
you're
enjoying
right.
the rivers.
Yeah, you're right. And this year at Bronze Fest, the whole thing is going to be, I'm trying to work out a way to do a Streamology 101. And that would be a class for people that are just getting into fishing, think they want to do it. And it would be stream etiquette, fish handling procedures, reading water, just kind of a 101 course on, hey, I'm new to fishing. What do I need to know that I might not be able to read about somewhere? And etiquette's a huge one. And so is fish handling as well. And so we're gonna spend a lot of time talking about that at Bronze Fest this year.
Sounds great.
Yeah, it'll be fun. And it'll be back at our normal location where we had it the first couple of years on the James River. You'll see the announcements come out with it. I'll announce the dates this next week. After that, I'll start putting the events up. Love to co-chair it with you or something. For you guys to bring a booth down, do some fly tying, do some fishing, whatever.
We'll have to discuss that.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd love it would. I think it'd be beneficial for everybody. I really.
Right.
Yeah, I think there'd probably be some interest in doing a mutual, kayak trip. Having some members maybe go to the Ozarks and check out some of the waters in the Ozarks, and then
absolutely, yeah,
vice versa.
Oh yeah, no.
You guys come up here and check out some of our waters.
If you can get me on the DuPage, I'm Cindy and I'll be there tomorrow.
There's no fish on the DuPage, Ryan.
No, I know. I've heard that. I've heard that. There's no fish in the Gasconade or the James either. So yeah, I get it.
Yeah,
no, I am the last person that would ever blow up anyone. If you look at any of my posts on Facebook, my location is either nothing or a thin blue line in the Ozarks. So I don't blow up spots. I'm all about helping people, but to Terry's point, there's enough people fishing right now. They can find their own damn spot. So now if somebody asks me off board, right? If they message me and they say, hey, I need to go somewhere, where can I go? I'll 100% help them do that. But I won't throw up a picture of an 18-inch smallmouth for 30,000 people to see and tell them, oh, I'm right here. No. I'm not going to do that.
I think we all can agree with that too.
Yeah.
Sentiment.
Yep.
So
no spots blown, please.
Yeah, I got to step away for a second. So talk amongst yourselves.
all right. Hey, did anyone else have any questions for Ryan? Hey, Ryan, can you tell us a little bit about your guiding service, the name of it, the phone number, maybe how to get in touch with you?
Yeah, sure. It's OSA Flyco, and that's what it is on Facebook and Instagram, OSA Flyco. My cell phone number to get me is 417-366-3617. And if you can't get me via text or phone, the best way to get me is to message me through Instagram or Facebook. My email, if you want it, is osasmallmouth@gmail.com. And those are all the best ways to get me.
Okay. And then as far as getting to your area to fish, what's the best way to get there? Probably drive in, or you can even fly.
Yeah, I mean, what is it from Chicago to St. Louis? 5 hours. So if you're an 8-hour trip down to me. Less if we're going to fish the Gasconade. If you're going to fish the Gasconade, it's a 6.5-hour trip. And driving in, I mean, Springfield has daily flights to Chicago. So if you want to mess with that whole rat race from O'Hare or Lambert, or not Lambert, but Midway, yeah, knock yourself out. But driving in probably is the best way. Plenty of lodging opportunities. And really the way my guide service works is we book a trip about a week or two out from the trip. I say, okay, here's some lodging options, or here's where we're going to be. I give you a general idea of where we're going to be. We'll help you find lodging, or if you're going to be near somewhere with, somebody I work with, I'll get you to them. And then we dial in really where we're going to fish, because it really all depends on what's fishing well. The beauty of being here is having so many options. That's also sometimes the gotcha is having so many options. But we keep it pretty dialed in, and I try really hard not to fish the same stretches of water back to back, so that I can always either have fresh water or fresh fish, even if it's a different stretch of river on the same river. I'll try not to do those stretches back day to day. That's a nice thing about having so many rivers to fish. So we'll dial it in. We'll pick a location. No time limits on my full days. We go to fish. I'll fish till you're tired, because you will not fish till I'm tired. Promise you that. You will be tired before I will. So we'll I don't see, if you're going to pay me money to take you out on a river all day, we're going to make it as long or short as you want it to be. So I specialize in fly fishing. I still do some conventional trips. So if you've got a significant other or somebody that wants to come along that doesn't fly fish, I can absolutely accommodate that. I supply everything. You can obviously bring your own rods, but flies, leaders, tippets, raft, really good shore lunch, drinks, stuff like that is all included with the service.
How early did you start in the spring?
Mid-March.
Mid-March, okay.
Yeah, and mid-March around here is a lot of fun, because most of the places I'm starting are rivers that connect to large impoundments, mainly Table Rock Lake or Bull Shoals Lake. And you never know what's going to hit. You never know what's going to eat that fly. It could be a 30-inch striper. It could be a 26-inch walleye. It could be a 10-pound hybrid. or a 20-inch smallie. So mid-March around here is a very fun time to fish, just because so many fish are moving into the rivers to do their business. That's also about the time that the smallmouth, any of our rivers that connect to those big lakes, on the lower end of the river, the smallmouth will drop back into the lake to find the deeper holes. Once the water temperature hits 45, 47 and is going up and not down, they'll start migrating back up into the lower ends of the rivers. So my two favorite times a year are probably mid-March to mid-May or mid-June, and then again from the first part of September to the middle of November. Any day that ends in Y.
There you go.
That's a bumper sticker, isn't it?
It is, I think. Yeah, right. Yeah. So yeah, I'm an all-inclusive service. Whatever you need, we'll make sure you have it. And we love putting people on fish. That's what we do. Any other questions? Cool.
Oh, don't sound like it. Well, hope everybody enjoyed it.
I did. Thank you very much. I
Yeah, thank
appreciate
you.
the opportunity. I really do.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, any way we can help you out down there, you let us know, and we'll try to do what we can.
Yep, absolutely.
Really appreciate it, Ryan. Is it?
Yeah, guys, thanks a bunch. Hope to get to fish with a bunch of you this year.
That sounds great. Thanks again.
All right, thanks. See y'all later.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.